Oh. Yes. Yes, I want that.
My neck looked like a big giant penis, all veiny and weird.
You got sex neck.
Get the bloody frog neck.
Oh yeah.
I've got a goiter.
That's my Star Wars veins.
I've got a goiter. It's called The Force Awakens. This is Ed.
I got a goiter.
This is Carl.
This is Mike.
Yay! So let's just get to it. I think everyone knows what's coming.
Yeah, if you don't, heads up, this is completely spoiler-laden. There's no such thing. We've been waiting long enough for this movie. If you haven't seen it, you're not a real Star Wars fan.
You're an asshole. You're just an asshole. You're an asshole.
Well, my friend Cole, I was like, I
Go
got
watch
done
Frozen.
seeing it. I saw it at the 7 o'clock showing on Thursday, and I get out, and I give him about like a half hour, because, you know, like I didn't know how many trailers there were and whatever, so I give him about a half hour. I was like, so how are you, buddy? And he's like, I'm okay. Why? I was like, well, how was the movie? Did you like it? He's like, oh yeah, I'm not seeing it until Saturday. I'm like, what sort of fucking monster are you? I thought we were friends.
Yeah, for real. It is like, I don't know. You know, we were all excited for the prequels to come out, for Episode 1 to finally happen, and I can even watch the trailer for Episode 1 and relive those emotions of like the promise of more amazing shit. But we've just lived through a decade plus of like regret, you know,
we lived through the Clone Wars.
All of you know, the bait and switch, and
War never changes.
And it's amazing that, and I just wrote about this, but it's amazing that I felt they finally they delivered on the old promise, and it felt so good to be able to look forward to something versus, well, this is okay, but let's just focus on our trilogy, you know? Like, well, at least that one's sacred. They can't fuck that up. You can only go back to the well so many times.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, my God, guys.
And that's the thing is, I'm feel you. I think like we're all kind of on the same page here. Is I'm really excited to like Star Wars again, because even though it's kind of funny to go onto a podcast and bitch about something that you love, it still kind of hurts. You know, it's like I've been really unhappy the fact that I don't like Star Wars. Like I don't like the fact that I don't like Clone Wars. I don't like the fact that I don't like the prequels. It's kind of nice just to not have that like duality of like, man, I really hate this, but I love parts of it, sort of thing. It's nice to kind of be able to throw myself back into Star Wars, and just about everything is coming out right now. I'm just like, yeah, I'll take some more of that. So
exactly, and it's and it was so amazing, thanks to social media and especially through our fans, the VORons. It was so cool to like do my check-in and be like, oh, it's about to start, we're excited. But then check on with everybody else, and it felt like, you know, Red 6 standing by, Clint Michigan standing by, Jeff Senneberger standing by, you know, and seeing pictures of everybody in their in some of their families in theaters about to have this pop off, and like, you know, like, oh my God, Carl's at the theater, Mike's going. I'm like, oh shit, everybody being there in different places, but all gonna experience this. Oh my God, I could just like, I was feeling it even though they weren't there. It's so awesome.
It felt like the craziness that we'd kind of been missing, and I think the hope built it up. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure a lot of us went there out of curiosity. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, especially because there was a number. I really feel as though almost everyone I talked to, and it has nothing to do with you guys. Everyone was like, I'm trying to avoid the trailers. I'm trying to avoid the toy aisle. I don't want any of it spoiled. Like, I didn't know anyone who was diving in trying to find anything out.
Well, that's kind of strange because, and I'm with you. Like, almost, I'd say 75% of my friends and stuff have, like, at some point or another have said, like, oh, I'm going to start avoiding the trailers. You know, I'm not going to be actively seeking them out and things of that nature. So it's really strange when, say, listener Jamie Bach has set up this kind of Facebook group for people that have already seen the film to go and talk about it without getting spoilers all out in the wild. And I got these people in there, that are saying stuff. There's like, oh, well, what about this and that and blah, 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 blah. And they talked about this. I'm like, that wasn't even in the film. Where'd you guys get this? And, so it's like, I feel like I'm almost catching up to these people that have been like reading into the spoilers and the speculation and everything like that. I feel like I'm catching up, but I'm not upset about it because honestly, I did a really good job of avoiding a lot of spoilers. And there's even a couple things that I thought were spoilers, and good on Disney because they really kind of misled us because I was upset about like 4 days before the film released. I started seeing a bunch of stuff with Finn with a lightsaber, and I'd gone the entire time without knowing like, oh, so and so is going to be the Jedi in this one, and I was like, motherfucker, Finn's going to be the Jedi, and they've spoiled it for me. So now when he finally finds the lightsaber, it's not going to be magical for me, and then it turns out that he's not even if he is Force sensitive, he's not even the Jedi of the story. So I'm just like, oh, okay, good job, Disney, nice misdirect there. So
yeah. And I got to tell you, one other thing that was amazing that was so well handled, and I got to make sure that this gets in this first episode, is, things like that. I was watching it and retconning because that's been our habit over the last how many years of dealing with Star Wars shit, of like, well, we can explain it away, or maybe behind the scenes, So that was one of the first things was, he picks up the lightsaber and he's good at it. I'm like, and I was doing the same thing you did, but I was watching it in the movie. I didn't know about him and the lightsaber. So I'm like, oh, crazy. So, all right, he's ex-Stormtrooper, and now he's going to be like the new Jedi Hope guy. That's cool. I'm down because I like Finn a lot. But then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. But nothing, he's not Force sensitive. They haven't said that. I'm like, oh, so now they're just going to start handing out lightsabers. Because the deal is, it's an amazing weapon, but without the Force to guide you, you're not going to be able to really know how to wield it. It's like it's a very tied to Jedi training. It's not like picking up a stick and hitting a guy with it. All you can feel is a flashlight in your hand. So how the fuck are you supposed to fight with a flashlight? But then it's like I did have to retcon, like, he's been trained as a Stormtrooper since he was a kid, so I have to let that go. All right, fine. And also Rey, I had to retcon her. And I was concerned. I'm like, again, just like Ezra in Clone Wars, Rebels. Sorry, I apologize to Ezra.
I apologize to everyone at Rebels.
Let's not associate those two. But that I always felt that his Force training, his sensitivity, and his accomplishments were too rushed, and that undermines Luke Skywalker's. Like, Luke is supposed to be the Hope. He's the son of the chosen one. It's a big fucking deal. All his training, all his things, especially since he didn't learn since he was a kid. He picked it up as an adult, and he was that good at it. So having Ezra just like moving ships and whatever the fuck he's doing now, it pissed me off. So here comes Rey, and she's like tied to a chair. She's like, hey, you're going to listen to my restraints and open the door? And it's not working. I'm like, what? Did she watch the videos too? Because that's shitty. But then I remembered, like, and this is so brilliant, and this made me want to cry. When she met Han Solo. In this world, the original trilogy people, that's their heroes. They know the stories as well as we do, because when people come out of nowhere and save the galaxy, it's like the American Revolution, That's their Washington, that's their Hamilton, that's Paul Revere. And so her meeting this old fucker on the ship and being like, holy fuck, you're Han Solo, is like, yeah. Like, no, you're Han Solo. So thereby, like, stories of Force sensitivity and Jedi mind tricks, which used to be like just a joke that you tell in bars, now it's a deal. It's a real fucking thing. So why wouldn't she try it? Why wouldn't she try to, like, maybe I can grab that saber out of the snow? Holy fuck, it worked, And I'm freaking out. I'm sorry. I'm freaking out over this movie. It's so good.
Here's something that's really cool, and I'm glad you brought that up because it was something I wanted to talk about. But Disney is doing this really great thing, and I don't think people are really noticing it, is they really foreshadowed and set up a lot of stuff in the movie using Star Wars Rebels. because one of the big things about Ezra Bridger in the TV show, and Kanan even says it, he's like, you're going to learn by what you do best, which is surviving. And that's always been like the key to Ezra in this show, is like whenever they go out to try to do training, he's all like, oh, I'm a kid, I can't focus, I got ants in my pants, and then he's like, okay, let's go out and do a mission. And then next thing you know, everything that they've been working towards kind of comes together because he's forced to use it. And Rey is apparently the same way, and they've been kind of laying that foundation where she's force sensitive and she didn't even know it. And now that she's in this survival situation, it's the force is kicking in like an instinct, and she's doing things, and it's just kind of coming to her. And they did a good job of illustrating. It's like it doesn't work always the first time, whereas he's like, you will loosen my restraints and leave the door open. He's like, no, I won't. It's
right.
It's good. And by the way, I don't know if you guys saw it, but apparently that was Daniel Craig playing that trooper.
Really?
Yeah. So James Bond, Daniel Craig, usually the one in the restraints with the laser pointed at him, let the good guy get away this time. So good job, James Bond.
Very cool. I'm sure there's a lot of cameos that didn't get ham-handedly dealt with, kind of like Sam Jackson was like, hey, I'll walk on as a stormtrooper if you put me in the movie. Lucas is like, oh, why don't you show up as Sam Jackson? It's not one of those things. Like Simon Pegg is a monster in a mask and was fucking thrilled to be there.
Yeah. Well, and then apparently Ewan McGregor even they had the guy that did the voice of Obi-Wan record a couple lines for the movie, and then apparently Ewan McGregor's like, oh no, I'll do it. That's cool. So apparently during the Force Vision, when you hear Rey and her name's called out, apparently that was actually Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan calling out through the Force to Rey. So. Yeah, I'm sorry, I got goosebumps just even saying it out loud because I'm so excited about Ewan McGregor still being attached to the Star Wars universe, because that means hope for my old Ben movie might finally it's still there.
Jizz in my pants.
One of my favorite things about the film that I wouldn't have expected, or if someone said you get to make a decision, we're going to throw in all of these little Easter eggy style items, I'd been like, no, just move ahead. I wouldn't have gone for it, but as they popped up, it was neat to see, the saber shivering in the snow, and the little comment, as dorky as it was, but the little 14 parsecs.
Mm-hmm.
And it was 13. You know what I mean? Little things like that. That was so. It was awesome. It was cool, right. And it wasn't heavy-handed. It was just so kind of light and brushed across, and you were just like, "Oh, that was to me. I get it."
Or there was some really, really cool subtle things. When I forget which point it was, but they were all on the ship, and Finn is going through a bunch of stuff, and at one point he even pulls out the training droid that Luke trains with in A New Hope, and he's like, "What the fuck's this?" and then throws it. It's just little things. They did a really good job of not crossing the line of homage into just plain outright garbage.
Yeah, because they know you've seen the movies, and that's the best thing is they can finally address that you've seen the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt again that was a major undermining of the prequels, was this is supposed to come before, but they know that you've seen the movies, and so they have those Star Wars heartstrings with them at all times, and all they do is grab them all at once and shake them.
Mm-hmm.
This one's just kind of like, huh?
They pluck.
Huh?
They don't grab. They pluck.
Yeah, they pluck. They're making music over there, man. They're not just banging on the keys and calling it art.
Yeah, I think pretty much what we can take away from this discussion without having said it so far is we all like the movie. Is that correct? I mean, we haven't come out and said it, but I'm assuming we all liked it. Is that right?
Someone asked me out of 5 stars, and I had to explain it this way. If I was a normal person, I would give it 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
But because I'm a discerning Star Wars fan, I have to give it 4 stars. And the person's like, yeah, but that's awesome, right? I'm like, no, it's still fucking awesome. I have issues. I was taking a cab home with my buddy, and he's like, what'd you think? I'm like, oh my god, this is great, and I'm still crying, and it's holy shit. And I'm like, yeah, well, this was wah, and I could have, and I thought about this, and you know what? This was a real letdown. He's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'm like, this is who I am. I mean, I'm still saying I love it, but there's other issues, and we're going to get to some of those in upcoming segments.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, anyone that's been in a relationship will know this, especially a long-term relationship. Just because you don't like something about something doesn't mean you don't love it and you don't want it around. It's like
Oh my God.
I
Yes.
can love the fuck out of The Force Awakens, and I do. But it's like I did have a short list of like, you know what, I probably wouldn't have done this, or I would have changed this. But that's the thing about movies. It's a living, organic art form. It's always evolving, And the thing that really comes down and what comes out to me is that Disney is taking this seriously. And
Word.
we had a lot of talk, and a lot of people were shitting on Disney before the movie even came out. And I called it. I said, what we really need to do is we need to get this film out that's says to the fans, hey, we understand what your problems have been with the franchise in the past. We're taking over now. We're going to give you what you want, which it's really strange because I said on the Facebook page, I don't want this turning into like 5 hours of let's shit on George Lucas, but it always seemed like George Lucas...
We've been doing that for years.
Yeah. We
Go to the back catalog.
Exactly. Watch anything to do with the prequels if you want that. But, he's always been like on a standoff with the fans. It's always been kind of like what George Lucas wants is here, and what fans want is there, and we can't quite find this middle ground for some reason. And I never quite understood. And I'll never take away from George Lucas the idea of artistic integrity, because I've been there. Like we're all creators. We know artistic integrity. So whether it's like, no, I'm not going to play this song because it doesn't fit our repertoire, or no, I don't want to draw this character because it doesn't fit into the style, or whatever. We've all been there. And for George Lucas to say like, no, this was my story, this is what I always envisioned, even if he is half full of shit, you can't argue with the guy. It's his thing. But now it's not his thing. Right. And now you can just say like, this is what I want, and Disney is saying, yes, you're the customer, you're going to get what you want.
Yeah.
And
There's
so
that.
far, it's pretty good. So
yeah. I was just rewatching. If I don't always watch the prequels, but when I do, it's the Phantom edits. It's the only way to get through them. And look them up on torrents, download them, plug. Amazing and smart. And when it comes to making, get a DVD of it. All right, make yourself a DVD and watch that. And one of the best things about them is he does a commentary about why he made these edits, right? And one of the things he says about the prequels and why people are upset, and people come to his defense, people come to Lucas's defense, saying, well, the guy's an artist, and this is his art, so you can't really tell someone how to make their art. And he goes, well, no, you can, because it's no longer just an one picture, one art thing. It is a movement. You can't ignore that this is a movement in motion pictures and storytelling and merchandising in connections to people's lives. And he's like, all right, now let's look at Coke. Coke decides, we got a better idea for a flavor. So we're just going to go ahead and change the flavor of Coke, which has been working for us for 100 years and is like the #1 brand on the planet. And it doesn't work. People hate that new flavor. And they're like, yeah, but it's the new Coke. So what are you going to say? Hey, Coca-Cola, we get it. You're artists. You're a beverage artist. No, you're like, look, you've been promising us the same flavor that we've gone to for generations, and now you fuck with it?
Yeah.
Well, what does Coke do? They're like, hey, well, our bad. All right, if you want the new stuff, it's over here, but here's the old formula. It's safe. We're sorry, This is back on brand. It's back to that promise. I always talk about Star Wars feel. It's here, and it's back.
Yeah. And that's a great point. Star Wars 2, lightsaber boogaloo. That's a great point too, because once you start selling the art, it doesn't belong to you exclusively any longer. Because that's the thing is Star Wars. I understand it is artistic creative expression, but here's how I feel about that sort of thing: is once you start selling it, a part of it belongs to the fans. You can say artistic integrity, or you can say commercial success, and I'm not saying they're mutually exclusive, but once you start getting into the realm of one, you start losing part of the other. And once you start because that's the thing is, I can guarantee at this point, like, I have spent more money on Star Wars than George Lucas has, because he has a net profit. I have never made money off of Star Wars, you know. It's like, so I'm the one that's investing. I'm investing into this, you know. George Lucas, he reinvests the money that he makes out of Star Wars into Star Wars. But the fact of the matter is like, I'm the one that's not getting a return on it other than these movies. Those movies are the return on my investment. And if I'm not happy, that's the problem, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, like, so it's a complicated thing. You'll see it in video games, comic books, movies, whatever. But people will say, like, there's fan entitlement, and there is, and there should be, because there is a certain level of responsibility of content creators to fans when it comes to that sort of thing. And I think we're seeing that come back around on this franchise. So
yeah, absolutely.
I agree with you guys 100%, and I just loved this movie. In fact, I think I loved it more than I'm willing to admit. But, and though I'm still stuck, I've got a real thing with the prequels. I can't even say that I don't like them. However, the truth of the matter is, he is the creator of this content, and though it has become ours to a certain degree, and this even goes with Coke, they are the creators. If we don't like it, we don't have to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks that there's no more Coke, and it sucks that there's no more good Star Wars, but that's where they've decided to take this content. And I guess I kind of disagree. Yeah, there's a responsibility to the fans, but I don't feel like it has to go where we want it.
Well, you know, and I think you and I are actually saying the same thing, though, is if you don't respect that responsibility to your fans, they will go away. And I'm not saying that, like, you should just have blind Star Wars or anything of that nature. They have to expect the backlash. Like, when you change something fundamentally, you do have to expect some sort of complication. And, you know, and it's a risk. Like, New Coke could have been the amazing thing. The prequels could have been amazing, and it could have changed everything like the original trilogy did, but it didn't. And that's the risk you run. And, like, when you start running the lines of commercialism and creatism, that's the risk you run. You got to answer for both. And, you know, it's like, and Mike, I do agree with you. It is the creators at the end of the day, and if they want to take their ball and go home, that is an option.
Right.
And,
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
But
Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah, we've got a lot more to cover than the Hollywood business today. So let's wrap this up. We're going to be back tomorrow, and we're going to start getting into some of the characters and the real, like, the ups and downs of this new trilogy that's coming at us. So I'm really stoked to get into that. We're going to kick it off with Ray. And meanwhile, hey, you want more of this, you want to interact, you like what you're hearing, go find us at www.vorradio.com. You'll find links to this show, other shows, audio format on iTunes. You can subscribe anytime. We highly recommend that you do. Subscribe to us on YouTube as well. Like we said, huge back catalog of non-Star Wars, pro-Star Wars videos, and lots of radio shows, from the days of radio, from the wild west of podcasting greatness, and link to our Facebook page, which is highly active because we love talking to the fans daily, not just here, just talking at you. So yeah, come check us out.
yeah, I don't have anything else to add. Good job, Ed.
That's right, I fucking nailed it. That's what you get for recording during the day and not late at night. Oh, cool. All right, well, we'll be back tomorrow.
Sounds good. But till then, may the Force
Be with
Your asses.